It seemed to me like one of the predominant religion down in the South was Baptist. Although there was definitely, you had Baptists, Lutherans, Seventh-day Adventists, Jehovah's Witnesses. But it seemed like the predominant religion was Baptist for the most part. I was surprised that we didn't see more Catholics, although among the Hispanic population that the Spanish elders taught, there was definitely much more Catholics in that population. It was interesting serving in the South because it was so religious. There were some positives and there were definitely some negatives as well. One of the great things is that you don't have to convince most people that there's a God. They believe that. The issue is convincing them to, not just perform lip service, but to actually do. Because there's a lot of people that claim to believe in God, but yet don't really do the things that he's asked, don't really search the scriptures and things like that. And I don't know if I necessarily found, any one particular religion, necessarily guilty of that, as much as just people in general. And so it was nice because people believed there was a God. And you would tell them about Joseph Smith, and they'd be like, oh, that's awesome. My brother down the street, he's a prophet too. And so one of the difficult things also was helping people to truly understand what a prophet was, because a lot of them don't realize that when we're speaking, of a prophet being called, such as Joseph Smith, we're not just talking about, someone having the spirit of prophecy. We're actually talking about, a prophet on the earth, to lead God's children. And so, they think it's just another story or another experience, and they don't really always get the significance of it. Even when you tell it to them, and they may believe you, but getting them to understand the significance of what that really means was very challenging. In addition to that, we had a lot of problems with misconceptions about the church. Some of the people that we taught, I'd heard everything from, some people thought that we couldn't eat mayonnaise, or, another girl had heard that when we baptized people, we held them underneath the water until they saw God. And, so we were very glad to clear up those concerns. There's, and they ranged from the extreme to the slight, and everything in between. But it was very difficult because you would teach someone, and the next time you go back to teach them, they wouldn't talk to you again. And most of the times, it's because it was usually because someone from their family or some of their friends had heard that they had met with us, and they told them all these crazy things about different stuff that we believe that just completely wasn't true. And I don't know if it was from ignorance or willful, dislike of our church. Probably both. In some cases, one or the other, but it may have just been both in other cases. But so we would try and prepare people as we taught them. Other people, if you want to understand what we believe, who better to ask than us? We will tell you what we believe. Whereas if you ask somebody else, they may not really understand what we believe, or they may have heard all these crazy things which just completely aren't true. So that was something hard that we had to deal with, and we'd have to try and prepare people for hearing anti-Mormon literature and things like that when we taught them, just saying, hey, if you have a question or you hear something that sounds funny from your friends, ask us. We'll tell you. So...